Welcome back. So I think other participants are yet to join. Am I audible? Yes.
Yeah, you are.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. So, yeah, any question from Nagalakshmi, Abhishek, Prashant? We want interactions.
Nothing as of now, Kalyan.
Okay, ma'am. Right. Great. We'll wait for a minute, then we'll start. Right. Abhishek, Prashant, is it understandable so far?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, thank you. Right, so let us start further. So when we try and understand nature and life, we need to understand few of the aspects to start with. Like, for example, this layers of nature and life, 3 layers that we identify. One is the form, other is the formless, and there is a processing in between. Form means something which is commonly perceivable, the matter, right? And formless means the energy aspect, which is not clearly perceivable, commonly perceivable, but exists, which drives the form. So there is a processing happening in between while interacting form and formless. So these 3 layers, one is the form, other is the processing, and processing due to something formless. So when we observe the body, we see there is a movement, and that movement has got a cause of the energy inside. So something formless is there in the body which is bringing this movement in the body. If we remove that, the movement also will stop. The body will also get destroyed in some time. Right. So these 3 things, if we observe deeply, we'll find 3 layers called physical, physiological, and psychological. Physical, physiological, and psychological. What is physical? Physical means whatever is commonly perceivable. Whatever is commonly perceivable. I'm moving my hand. I'm moving my hand, it is easily perceivable. What is physiological? The blood is flowing inside my hand, which I can perceive sometime if it gets disbalanced or some indication if I get. But you cannot perceive for sure because it is happening inside the physical entity as a physiological mechanism, which is the movement, which is the circulation. And there is something which is not happening with a vivid perceivability, but happening with the impulses, which are neural impulses. We call mind formation, psychology, all these names we give. So there is one entity of our existence which is not perceivable at all. I cannot claim for its existence. Whatever is there in my mind, I cannot claim that it is there for sure. But something is there. That also cannot be denied, which is equivalent to the vitality, the energy, the formless. Right? So the other term that we use is our mechanical, chemical, and neural. So our existence has got these 3 domains: mechanical, chemical, and neural. So something is mechanically happening. These movements which are easily commonly perceivable. And chemical movements which is happening inside is individually perceivable, individually experienced. And neural happens through
अरे वो बीच का
impulses.
दरवाजा खोल देना ना, वो अंदर आना है तो उधर से आ जाएगा.
Yes, ma'am. I'll mute all of you so that there is no noise. Yes. Yeah. So, so these three layers, right? Now, these three layers, the perceivability one aspect that we are playing around, right? So this perceivability has got a spectrum. Spectrum means within that spectrum, something is perceivable, and beyond that means this side and this side both. It is not perceivable. So we human being, Homo sapiens, can perceive, for example, the light has got these 7 colors that we can perceive. This is the least frequent color, the red, and the violet is the highest frequency. The speed is too much. Speed is too much of the violet. That is why in traffic light, they cannot use the violet. There will be accidents because the speed is too much. It will not retain. It will not be retained in the eyes. Red color retains the most. That is why red is used in the traffic light, right? So this perceivability spectrum, let us try and understand. And while understanding this perceivability spectrum, we need to understand 3 holistic properties. This is now onwards, this is the real topic of pure nature cure started, you can consider, because this is a repeated understanding that will be needed for further understanding of the concepts. So we talk about 3 holistic properties. You need not to be a science student to understand this, but you need to understand these 3 properties. You need not to go deeper into the physics and science to understand this. So these 3 properties, density, speed, and heat, we need to understand to start our understanding. Density, what is density? Density is a kind of thickness. It's a mass of unit volume, we call density, but it is actually thickness. It is heaviness, the compactness, the concentration, the tightness. If something is tightened, that means it is denser. If something is loosened, then it is less denser. So is it understandable? I don't want to give a lot of jargon here, but density, one aspect we need to understand. The thickness we can identify. Yeah, Minu, you have some question?
Okay. No, sir, by mistake it got pressed.
Okay. So density is that aspect which is directly connected to the perceivability. You saw this one, spectrum of the light. The density of the red color is highest of the lot. Density of the violet color is the least in the lot. And the speed of red color is the least in the lot. Violet is the highest in the lot. So this is just an example. We'll come with further understanding. Now density you understand or not, you need to confirm. What is density? Now what is speed? Another item is the speed. The speed is the movement. If something is moving, we call that it has a speed. In fact, in nature, everything is moving. Some movement we perceive, some movement we do not. So that movement we are talking about. So in physics, actually, the speed is the distance traveled per unit time. It is also depicted as rushness, swiftness, velocity. These all are quite synonymous. Try and understand the movement is depicted by the speed. The third entity, which is a holistic property we're talking about, we are not analyzing the part here. but the properties of the matter, not part of the matter. So the third property is the heat. It's a form of energy. It's a form of energy, non-perceivable energy, that gets transferred due to the difference in temperature. So two bodies do have difference in temperature. If they are in contact, then the heat is something is transferred, some energy is transferred to bring a balance, to bring a homeostasis between two bodies interconnected or externally connected. So that aspect which is being transferred is the heat, which we actually use the term hotness or ignition or warmth, all these terms. So these three, density, speed and heat properties, need to be understood. So these terms are very important to further our understanding about the health in terms of pure nature cure understanding. Now density, speed and heat are interconnected also. Interconnected means if density is increasing, then speed is also affected, heat is also affected. That relation also we need to understand. So density and speed are inversely proportional. If density is increasing, speed is decreasing. Try and understand anything heavy. If you want to move, if you push a vehicle, if the vehicle is light, then pushing is very easy. If the vehicle is heavy, then pushing is problematic. It needs more force. So that means the speed gets reduced if the density or the mass, both are equivalent, is higher. Right? Understandable this
Doubt I
connection?
have
Yes, ma'am.
about this heat.
Heat.
Heat,
Yes.
you said it's a form of energy.
Yes.
So what is the difference between heat and energy? Can we just say that as you gave the example that two bodies are in contact and from the higher heat it gets transferred to the lower heat.
Yes.
So can we say it's the higher energy going to the lower energy?
Yes. We
But
can.
what is the difference between heat and energy?
Heat is a
Energy,
form of energy. Heat can be transformed into other forms of energy.
energy is the formless
Yes.
part of ourselves,
Yes.
which is neural, psychological part.
Yes.
So, what is the heat? Because heat brings in the component of temperature. So, how the
Yeah,
energy
so
and
heat actually helps to uh, perceive the interconnectedness of the mass and energy. If we dive deep, then we'll understand that the mass and energy both can transform themselves into each other. Right? So heat is that transient of energy and the density, energy and the mass or density, whatever, but it is still energy. Still in science it is considered as energy, but it is on the verge of transporting energy into mass or mass into energy. That actually helps to change the states of the matter.
just like in the time of temperature when we are having temperature, so that time heat is more.
Yes, heat is more, which is reducing the density of the body, which
So
is
that the
helping
energy
us.
can increase.
Yes,
One point
Thank
I
you.
can add here,
sir.
ice can be changed into water and water can be changed into vapor on steam. That is
Yes,
one form of state can be changed into another with the heat application. That
yes,
I can
yes,
say.
yes. So heat
Yeah.
helps to change the states of the matter. Change the states of the matter from ice to water. What Dr. Dubey shared the example, from ice to water, water to vapor, and the reverse also. From vapor, if you take out the heat, then it can become water, and water, if you take out the heat, then it becomes ice. So these relation also to be understood. The density is inversely proportional to the speed, and density also is inversely proportional to the heat. Speed and heat both are actually directly proportional. What does it mean? You need not to have the science background of understanding this proportional things. That means the meaning, let me explain. If the density is increasing, speed is going down. If the density is decreasing, speed is going up. Same goes for the density. If it is going up, then heat is coming down. The ice has got, though ice is an exception, but otherwise the solid, any solid substance has got higher density, lesser heat. Liquid substance has got lesser density, higher heat. Right? So if these two are inversely proportional, definitely speed and heat are to be directly proportional. That means if the speed is increasing, heat is also increasing. If the heat is increasing, speed is also increasing. Right? Is it understandable, or it's creating some confusion? Anybody?
Like we are using some mixer and grinder, like slow juicer that we say cold press juicer, they have low RPM. So juice we press out, that temperature is not much in that juice. And the mixer and grinder with high RPM we are using, and that juice come out, their temperature is raised. So
Yes.
speed is directly proportional to
That
it.
means the energy is not lost.
Yeah.
High RPM will increase the energy, the heat, and the energy will be lost from the food.
Yeah.
So yes, yes, good point that you brought in. Right. So I'm considering that there is no question on this. Now let
No,
us
sir.
try. Yes. So let us.
No.
Yes. Yes, Himanshu sir. So let us try and understand on the go as the biodegradability. What is biodegradability? Biodegradability is actually the movement. The movement in any substance is depicted by its biodegradability. That means how
Sorry,
fast it can become a
back to
soil.
the heat. 1 minute.
Yes, ma'am. The heat, this one.
Uh, Sir, Dr. Kaur was saying that about the heat, that it
Yes.
is energy. So, what else do we know energy as? Is there
Yes.
any other like heat?
Anything formless can be termed as energy.
Yeah. So, just like we understand that heat is a form of energy, is there any other form of energy that we know of other
That
than
Yes,
heat?
solar
electrical energy.
energy, electrical energy, that we solar energy that we use now often this solar energy.
Yes.
So, solar is also heat, right?
Yes, solar actually is a mixture of heat and particle both. So heat is definitely an energy. It's a part of the radiation. Yes.
So, we know only of this one aspect of energy, or do we
No,
know
no.
more? Like,
There are many. Magnetic energy. Magnetic is
Sound,
a
sound also is an energy.
sound is also an energy.
yeah,
The muscular
okay.
energy also there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So got the answer,
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So the
Uh,
formless entity can be termed as energy. Right? You have still some question, ma'am?
so the formless aspect which we are talking about in say sound, there is a form to it, right? Like,
Yes,
uh,
yes. So sound and light both do have energy and mass together. So sound will understand that also later on, but let me touch upon. The light has got two things. One is the heat and another is a particle called photon particle,
mm,
which is the mass aspect, though in science the mass is not proven of photon, but the particle is identified. There's a confusion in the science itself. that the light has got photon particle which is massless considered. If it is a particle, then how it can be massless, right? Just that we cannot measure that mass. Similar goes for the sound. Sound has got an energy, the wave aspect, and another particle aspect which is called phonon. Right, photon and phonon. Sound, photon is of the light particle, and sound particle is called phonon. That when that enters our ears, we respond to that. That phonon has need to enter our ears. Then only we hear that. That's a mass aspect. That's the matter aspect rather. The mass is not identified for the phonon also by science. Not measurable. Right.
So when we were talking about light and the particle of light, so isn't the particle of light heat?
Particle of the light is not heat. Heat is there in the particle of light. Particle is the matter. Particle is the matter. Actually, in solar radiation, that's a little advanced study, but in solar radiation, the mass and the energy gets transformed into each other continuously. So whatever moves in straight line in the solar radiation is the energy, and whatever moves in the circular, those are the particles. And you see the circular motion is evident in all the matter, be it a non-living matter or a living matter. Non-living matter, the atom is circular motion, which we consider, and living also, the cellular structure is also a circular, and the circular motion is evident there. Right.
So
There is
why
some
can't we
noise.
call this why we have to differentiate between heat and energy when it is basically energy? Why don't we stick to the term energy? What differentiates that heat from the energy? Is it some
Amongst energy,
movement?
heat is easily perceivable in the matter.
So, enhanced energy or the some frequency of energy is increased, then is it called heat?
Enhanced energy, no, I don't have any idea about that. Enhanced energy is termed as heat that you are proposing.
No, like we say, when the fever is there, temperature has increased, we say more heat is there.
Yes.
Although energy is always there,
Yes.
that is a part of us.
Mhm.
So in the time of temperature, we say there is more heat in the body.
Yes.
So then how this energy and heat, they are like correlated and they are the same as you are telling? What becomes more?
Both are formless. Both
Both
are
of them.
formless. Both are formless, and both actually both means the heat itself is a form of energy. Means if it has got some static energy, it is converted into the dynamic energy. It is transformed into some other form of energy. Similarly, when we conserve energy, that time that energy gets transported as heat and increase the temperature of the body.
The transformational phase
Transformation.
of the energy.
Yes.
Charger.
Yes, ma'am. It's a transformed energy. Yes.
It is when, as you said, it is a phase when the energy is getting transformed into the matter and some matter changes it needs to do.
Yes.
That time it is called
States of the matter gets changed with the heat. Yeah.
heat. So it's a name of the energy only in that phase.
Yes.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Yes. Yes. So we are talking about biodegradability. Biodegradability is the movement. The faster it becomes soil, we consider that it's the most biodegradable substance. So biodegradability is that internal movement, that the natural movement. Organic forms are always in movement. The prominent movement can be observed in all the organic forms which are changing. That movement is nothing but the change that is happening in all the organic forms. Non-biodegradability is the stoppage of the movement. So plastic doesn't have any movement as such. So that is why it is non-biodegradable, right? So just for a few clarity, we'll correlate few of the terms quickly so that we'll be on the same page in understanding this nature and life, why we are uh, talking in these terms, right? So in nature, try and understand this particular slide. All the slides are actually shared in the Google Drive. I've shared the link in the WhatsApp group so that you can refer these also. You need not to take screenshot or anything of that sort. So you'll have that reference. So in nature, you see in this spectrum is just a kind of reference spectrum. There's no connection with the color in reality. So one side of the spectrum, the density is higher, the highest, and speed and heat are the lowest. And other side, it is the density is least and speed and heat the most. Now in the spectrum in the nature, you'll see formless to form is in this spectrum. So something is formless where the density is the least. If something is not perceivable, that means the density is least, that's why it is not perceivable. The speed is too much, that is why it is not perceivable. Heat is too much, that is why it is not perceivable. Now, as it comes down, 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 then it takes a form. Within the form also, something is living, something is non-living, something is artificial. Non-living, obviously. So this way, the density goes up from formless to form, from living to non-living to artificial. In nature that we observe. This is universally that we observe. Now, individually of a life form, try and understand this aspect. This is very important understanding that we are going to use it further. In my life, why this understanding is relevant at all? Why at all we would like to know this or understand this? Because this is actually a framework that is being followed in my life formula also. In my life formula also, there is a density, less density to higher density spectrum that I experience from birth to death. From birth to death, the density actually goes from nil to increased density, negative to positive. Speed goes down, down, down. Heat goes down, down, down. Now,
had it not been for these horrible demons, human society would be far more advanced than it is now. But
yeah,
their time is
Partho,
come, and I fervent.
yeah, there was a noise from Partho's side. Yes, Partho, your mic was on mute by chance. Anyway, so the life, if we categorize the life into, so just focus on these two terms, healthy and disease. If we focus on this, then you will find the density of a diseased person is higher. And the moment the density of the person goes up, the speed goes down. The speed goes down, the heat also is goes down. So a diseased person will have density higher and speed and heat lesser. This is a state of a diseased person. A healthy person will have lesser density, higher speed and heat in the body, right? Heat depicts the energy, so higher energy in the body. Now we'll understand the healing crisis also in the next session, but this aspect needs to be correlated with the self experience. Whenever you feel yourself diseased, you correlate that you feel very heavy, you feel very chilly, or you feel less of movement, lack of speed, right? And this spirituality aspect we'll touch upon on the last day, tomorrow. I'll bring this again, and if I forget, then bring it. Why spiritual and fragility are together here, because this is little deeper discussion that we'll have. Now, in nature, the efficiency is common. Nature, the efficiency is common. Efficiency means the optimum utilization of everything. And that is depicted in the life form as attainment of the organic longevity. Organic longevity, right? So further correlation, in nature, to attain the efficiency, the conservation is opted commonly. The conservation is opted commonly in nature, and that actually has got a tool in life form called the voice of the organism. The voice of the organism, this is one principle in PNC or pure nature cure. In afternoon session, we'll start with the understanding of the voice of the organism. So nature has got conservation, and the life has got the voice of the organism to confirm the conservation. Now, when in nature conservation is attained and maintained, that time a symmetry is seen. A balanced symmetry is seen. A pattern is seen. In life, we call it as the law of unity. This is another principle in pure nature cure. The first principle is the voice of the organism. The second principle is the law of unity. One supports other. The first is the voice of the organism, which confirms the conservation. The moment internally conservation is attained, there is actually symbiosis with the environment also. That is what is the law of unity or symmetry that we see around. Now, nature has got a framework. We are trying to understand that framework only. And we'll create our own formula, individual wise, based on that framework. So these formula will differ for sure, but underlying framework will be same. That we'll understand. And in nature, homeostasis is common. Everything is in balance. Anything you pick up from the nature, it has got a peace and balance inside. And in life also, major portion is the health. The unfortunate occurrence that happens in our lives, we'll understand why it happens. But majority of the life is about health. So homeostasis and health are equivalent. Now, sometimes that homeostasis or the balance goes out of proportion, goes imbalance. That time, actually, there is a measure in the nature that we observe called calamity, which actually brings the homeostasis back. In life also, we do have that as disease, which actually brings back the health or the homeostasis. Another aspect, the impermanence. Due to that movement we talked about, the impermanence in nature is very obvious. What is the meaning of impermanence? The constant change. You see in this image, the tree was earlier leafless, then leaf started, then leaf was overwhelming, then again the leaves were going off from the branches. So this cycle we observe in nature everywhere, including birth and death. So inside the life form, the similar impermanence is happening 24/7, which is a process called metabolism. Metabolism is combination of two sub-processes. One is catabolism, other is anabolism. We'll understand this in details again, but just to touch upon, the catabolism is breaking down of the cells and anabolism is building up of the cells. So this is happening 24/7 within the body. We want it or don't want it. It is happening for sure. And that happening actually, okay, people are still joining. Yeah. So that happening actually gives us different experiences. We call sometime ourselves disease, sometime ourselves healthy in the process of metabolism. But metabolism is perennial. It is happening. All the cells are getting destroyed and getting constructed simultaneously. Right. So we'll start from the beginning, from the start. We have some few seconds, I think, for any questions of this session, and we'll take a 4-5 minutes break and we'll come back again. Any pressing question? We don't have much time. We'll take the question after we resume. So we'll start with silence as usual. Using the same ID and password, please join.